and throttle up. Discovery, go and throttle up.
All right. How's everybody doing? Okay.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Hey, 26 months, Drunken Gamer with a 60, Jared Martin with a 6 before that. Some guy had a 75-month reset, but we don't talk about him. He bends over and speaks from his rear. Oh, him. Yeah. All right, so does this still work? Yep. Still on the couch setup, guys. Sanding and painting took way longer. Rain. Sanding and painting took way longer than I thought it would. Yeah, I'm almost done. I got actually, 2 coats, two walls left, and then all 4 walls are good to go. Painting takes a long time. It's tedious and it's really frigging annoying, but it needed to be done. So I have no. Oh, there's the NASA stream. Sweet. Let me just fast forward it, make sure we're caught up. 3 walls are painted. Yeah, 3 walls are painted. I gotta paint 1 wall, and there's basically 2 walls need 1 more coat. That's all. Yep. That beard gets manlier and manlier every day. It's going away. It's going away when we start. When the big setup comes. The only reason I had the beard growing out is because I packed up my damn clippers. Hey, Total Staples. 16-monther. Do it right the first time. You don't have time to do it twice. That's right. Yeah. For now, guys, the walls are just gonna stay primed. I'm just gonna prime. The primer looks fine. I don't really care. You guys ain't gonna see the wall anyway. So, not too worried about it. My roommate has a 99 Firebird. Nice. Measure twice, paint once. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Stream back on Wednesday. It's going to be Wednesday or Thursday. It really depends. Literally right when I went live, it started raining. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But yeah. I want to be back. I definitely not going to be ready tomorrow. And keep in mind, I'm putting in like 12-hour shifts on this.
Go and throttle up.
I'm doing all the work myself. I only have really help on the weekends, but... Barely hear the rain? Okay, so yeah. I basically made an internal deadline to myself, Creeper, that I have to be back by Thursday or Friday. I can't stream Saturday. I have a family thing to go to. This is one of those you really can't miss this type of things. And then yeah, Monday, it has to be good by Monday. It has to be good by Sunday night, Monday morning. If I have to bust face on Sunday to get it completely good to go, so be it. It has to be good by Artemis. That's my rule. Fitting on the 12-hour shifts, at least you have a very short commute. Your commute's better than mine. It's longer, but your commute's better. Don't lie. You're deceiving all these people. Message from Rain. She got permabanned off Twitch. If you've not seen her around, that's why. Oof. I think she told me, Siren, but thank you. Kimmy did really good. Yeah, he got Chastain banded. I watched it. I had it on in here while I was freaking painting. All right, here. Let's go. They stopped the hold music, so let's see. Let's see what is in store here. So, let's talk space. Flight readiness firing, or flight readiness firing is an FRF. This is an FRR. It's a flight readiness review. Basically, this is the final meeting before you really start the campaign to launch. The flight readiness review just basically goes around the horn with all the different stations that are associated with launch operations and make sure that there's nothing that's crazy, nothing's broken, basically. Everything is good to go. NASA did have the FRR today, and they will and the purpose of this press conference is to update us with the status on how it went. So,
Discovery.
You guys know the drill for NASA pressers. I like shutting up. NASA, they tell us everything. Hey, Gravioli, thanks, buddy. Looks like I might be flipping patties at McDonald's here soon. You do what you got to do. I guess it's better until I have to get on the highway. Shall I get Hunt the Streamer pushed back? I don't know, man. Maybe. If I'm not done, yeah. I'm turning it up. I'm going to shut up for this. So just sit back, relax. Hopefully we learn some things about SLS here. The date was announced a long time ago, GSF. August 29th, 8:30 a.m.
This is a live look at NASA's Space Launch System rocket and Orion spacecraft poised on Launch Pad 39B. Tonight, managers from across NASA met here at Kennedy Space Center to discuss if we're ready to fly to the moon. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us live here at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. I'm Megan Cruz with NASA Communications. You are watching the Flight Readiness Review briefing for NASA's Artemis I mission. Liftoff of this first uncrewed flight test is currently targeted for Monday, August 29th at 8:33 a.m. Eastern Time from historic Launch Pad 39B. We have NASA leadership from around the agency to brief you on today's Flight Readiness Review that just wrapped up. First, we have Bob Cabana, NASA Associate Administrator. Janet Petro, Director of the Kennedy Space Center. Jim Free, Associate Administrator of Exploration Systems Development. Mike Serafin, Artemis I Mission Manager. Charlie Blackwell Thompson, Artemis I Launch Director. Howard Hugh, Manager of the Orion Program. And Chris Cienciola, Deputy Manager of the SLS Program. Thank you all for being here. So we're going to start with some opening remarks from each of our guests here, and then we'll take questions from reporters. So Bob, take it away.
Thanks, Megan. Well, first off, let me just say how great it is to be here after today's flight readiness review. Jim did a great job leading the team through a lot of complex topics, and we are go for launch, which is absolutely outstanding. This day has been a long time coming. The review, as thorough as it was, in no way encompasses the amount of work that the team did to get us here, and I could not be more proud of our amazing NASA Civil Service contractor team that put that rocket out on the pad and is getting ready to launch it, hopefully in a week. You know, I do want to say that I want to put this in perspective. This is a test flight, all right? And it's not without risk. We have analyzed the risk as best we can, and we've mitigated it also as best we can. But we are stressing Orion beyond what it was actually designed for, in preparation for sending it to the moon with a crew. And we want to make sure that it works absolutely perfectly when we do that, and that we understand all the risks. We're going to learn a lot from this test flight. There are certain cases that could come up that could cause us to come home early, and that's okay. We have contingencies in place, and the main objective that we really want to get out of this test flight, of course, is that stressing that heat shield, getting a test of that new Orion heat shield at lunar reentry velocities. So I just want to say I'm really looking forward to this. We have worked really hard to get here. The team has done an absolutely outstanding job, And as difficult as it is, we're up to the challenge, and I'm really looking forward to a successful test flight.
Thank you, Bob. All right, Janet.
So good evening. It's really another great day at America's Spaceport. We're moving one day closer to our launch. So last week at Kennedy Space Center, we held our Launch Center Readiness Review, and this is where we assessed all the systems to get us ready for launch, and that led us into today's Agency Readiness Review. And really appreciated the discussion at the agency review around this being a test flight and the risk we're taking as we stress the vehicle beyond what it would nominally be operated in future missions, particularly with crew. But I can tell you there's an energy and there's an excitement around the Kennedy Space Center, I would say, across the agency and all around the Space Coast as we get closer and closer to this launch. Ever since we rolled out to the pad last week, you can feel the excitement, the energy increase, and it's really, really palpable. Our teams does have some work to finish up at the pad, but we are very excited, and I can't tell you how proud I am personally of the team here at Kennedy Space Center and the integrated team across the agency, how hard they have worked for a decade to get to this point. And so we're ready. We are going, and go Artemis. Megan?
I like that I'm hearing we're ready from both of you. All right, Jim.
Yes, good evening, and thanks for letting me be here today. What a great moment we had today with the Flight Readiness Review. I got to be honest, it's pretty cool to chair a Flight Readiness Review. It's great to be part of this organization and lead the Exploration Systems Development and Mission Directorate with Kathy Kerner. That for our purpose is to really look at our readiness from launch all the way through recovery. So really focused on launch right now, but we were talking about launch, flight, and recovery today. Bob mentioned it, incredible depth of work. We only really skimmed the surface, I'd say, of the work that's been done over the past number of years. Really staggering number of requirements and verifications the team has done that really are there to push the vehicle to the limits. Bob talked about the risk. We are pushing the vehicle to its limits, really stressing it to get ready for crew. It is incredibly risky. We talked about risks today. We talked about our mitigation steps for those risks. And we've mitigated the risk as far as we can, and now it's our time to get to launch so that we get that data that we need to put crew on it. I'm really proud of our folks that have put their time in, their families that have given up time with them, the dedication they've shown. I think that came through today. We know there's thousands of folks that supported that review that we had today, and I'm really grateful for their work. The results, we had no exceptions today. We actually had no actions coming out of the review, and we had no dissenting opinions today. We do have, as Janet mentioned, the work to go at the pad, which you'll hear about from folks that follow me. We did talk to the launch team, we talked to the flight team, we talked to the recovery team, and then the management team, and everybody said they're ready to go. So we're looking forward to the mission.
Jim, thank you. Mike.
Yeah, good evening. Getting your license to fly represents a significant milestone, and it's representative of the teamwork and the level of preparation that it takes to go to this point. The flight readiness review process is a thorough wire brushing. Is the rocket ready? Is the spacecraft ready? Are all the teams ready? And we went through all that today, and we talked about some open work, but those are largely things that we have a path to close before we go fly. In terms of the mission management team, which I'll be chairing when we get to pick up at the Launch Minus 2-day review, which is essentially our launch readiness review, we have a series of decision gates that are in front of us. And the purpose of the mission management team is to provide oversight and risk acceptance, as well as to basically, if we are outside of our pre-planned criteria, to assess whether we should continue or whether we should knock it off as part of a flight test. We do have a series of checkpoints built into the mission, and we've trained those alongside of our operations teams, our launch team, our flight team, and our recovery team, as well as with our engineering support elements in Huntsville and in Houston. The test flight itself carries inherent risk, and we talked about that today. we talked about what we call moderate risk and high risks throughout. This is the first flight of a new rocket and a new spacecraft, and at its furthest point, the spacecraft will be nearly 290,000 miles from Earth before returning home. And this is the first human-class mission in over 50 years. So we're doing something that is incredibly difficult to do and does carry inherent risk in it. I guess one thing that I've been reflecting on today was a quote by Hugh Dryden, who was one of the founders of the Apollo program, and he talked about the purpose of flight testing, which was to separate the real from the imagined and the known from the unknown. So that's what Artemis I is all about.
That's a great quote. Thank you, for us to keep in mind as we move forward. Charlie.
Well, good evening. It's great to be here today, 1 week away from launch. And it feels great finishing up the flight readiness review and knowing that we are one step closer to launch. Our teams here at Kennedy Space Center are finishing up our processing and working hard to get us to our call to stations, which is planned for Saturday morning. Since arriving at the pad, we rolled out in the evening on Tuesday, and after arriving at the pad last Wednesday morning, we have been busy doing our validations of our critical facility connects to the mobile launcher. That includes all of our commodities, electrical connects, command and control, all of those are complete and behind us. And we are getting ready right now for our, what we call our program-specific engineering tests, which is we have about 2 tests left. That's one of them. That starts tonight on third shift, or this evening on third shift tomorrow. And then we'll also pick up with our booster servicing activities. We did that during wet dress, that activity before, and so we have a lot of experience with it. Those are our final 2 tests, and then we finish up our launch countdown preps and get into launch. So the teams are working really hard. We're on plan for that call to stations on Saturday. As has been mentioned in previous press briefings, we have extended the time frame of our flight termination system that is required by the Space Launch Delta 45th to cover 3 launch attempts. I wanted to mention that since that was a change since we met last time. And then also we have finished up all of our launch team training. We've completed 30 sims, so our team is certified and ready to go. So we are on plan and certainly looking forward to call to stations coming up on Saturday.
Charlie, thank you. Howard, next.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, Megan. Let's see. Today is an exciting day for the program, culmination of a lot of hard work by many people and demonstrated today through our review and understanding of the risks and the mitigations that we have as a program. And so appreciate the time we spent today with senior leadership talking about those and really understand where we're headed with the mission. Charlie talked about her preparations. For Orion, we had a few items that we need to close out, specifically the payloads that are going on board the spacecraft, the dosimeters, the radiation hardware, the biology experiments. We were able to load all our hardware and, of course, our crew interface and technology demonstration, Callisto, was also installed and finalized. So all those payloads that we have inside the crew cabin are ready to go. And the hatch was closed today, so we're looking forward to the next steps. The next steps will be we'll finally open up the hatch one more time, install the final our zero-G gravity indicator, Snoopy, so that'll be really exciting as well. We'll do final closeouts where we'll pull the soft covers from the windows and the seats and things like that, and we'll be ready to fly. And of course, during the countdown or count up to the launch, we're going to be very excited to lift off, and I'll be looking at several things. Our team will be looking at the data, one of which will be, getting the service module ready for firing the main engines, what we call service module priming of the prop system, propulsion system. Service module is a big component of the overall Orion spacecraft. It does propel us. It gives us a lot of capability to have propulsive capability, number one, and it also provides active thermal and in all the water and Eclipse hardware that we need to support crew. So it's a great demonstration. The European service module, which is part of the service module, is a very important component of the Orion program. Our European partners have done a great job of developing the European service module and getting us to this day. And of course, we're looking forward to our translunar injection. It's about an hour and a half after we launch. So really looking forward to getting to the moon, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Howard. And finally, Chris.
Okay, good. And I'm too excited to be here. And from the SLS team, our job is to get Orion to the TLI that Howard just spoke to, right, and get it into the intended orbit so it can go on to the moon. We convened with our leadership team.
I usually don't talk over these guys at all, but hearing NASA say they're going for TLI just makes me really happy.
Chief engineers here today to support us.
Oh, God.
Talk about our steps along the way to get here and our readiness to fly. When you talk about a test flight, you look at the build-up to get to this point. We've gone through single-engine test. Y'all followed the Green Run test series at Stennis. We've had full-scale booster test. Several structural tests that we've had of the vehicle and structural test articles in the dynamic rollout test that we had. So now it's time for the big test. It is the combined environments test and flight. It's a test that we can't duplicate on the ground. We've tried our best with all the environments we have, but this is the reason we fly, to fully understand the vehicle. So we're excited about it. At the end of the day, we went through all the polling. The team is ready. The rocket is ready, and we're here to support.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opening remarks. And now, as promised, we're going to take some questions from reporters either here in the room or over the phone.
All right.
Please
here's the fun part.
You
guys ready for the fun part?
Affiliated with, and then also just to get to as many of you as possible, ask one question and let us know who you'd like to answer that from the
one
panel
question.
Here. So let's start with you over there.
Thanks. Irene Clouts with Aviation Week. I don't know if this is for Charlie or for Mike. Are there any restrictions on the SpaceX's use of 39A once the countdown begins?
That's a good question.
You want to take that or
You can take first crack.
All right, so I'll start off, Irene. So with regards to restrictions at 39A, we get ready to go into tanking and we establish our BDA, our blast danger area, and our launch danger area clears. Certainly, that will impact work over at 39A.
Okay, won't impact the work.
Tanking begins, as far as the countdown starting Saturday.
Just prior to that, certainly the access to 39A is available.
Okay. Thank you. Over here.
Hi guys, Bill Harwood, CBS. This is for Mike Seraphin. I am still a little bit confused without an abort motor in the LAS. Could you explain the abort scenarios for this flight? I mean, I guess you can get off after 3 minutes in, 16 seconds or something, but I'm unclear about what happens when you're overflying Africa or where abort once around comes into play. I don't understand the timing of those things. I mean, I hope it never happened, of course,
Cajun, it's pouring.
Just so we understand it if it actually did happen.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Bill. We hope that we don't need those capabilities, but we've inherently designed in abort capability to protect crew on later flights. On this initial uncrewed test flight, we do not have an active abort motor on the launch abort system. We have an active jettison motor. Normally we don't need the abort motor. It would only be required in the event that you're trying to protect the crew. Up to the point where you achieve what's called untargeted abort splashdown. So you're about 3 minutes in the flight, closer to 4 minutes in the flight, you have to separate the service module fairing panels, and then at that point you can use the service module for aborts, and it's at that point, once the service module fairings separate, and we verified that we can use the launch abort, or we can jettison the launch abort system. And that provides what's called untargeted abort splashdown capability. So the vehicle at that point could splash down anywhere in the Atlantic before we get to the African continent. Before the untargeted abort splashdown coverage ends, we actually pick up abort once around coverage, so we actually have overlapping abort capability, and we could abort once around if necessary. And then if we don't need to abort once around, we would proceed through perigee raise and either enter a low Earth orbit or proceed through the point of translunar injection. And Howard, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. It's the Orion spacecraft that we're talking here.
Yeah, no, Mike, I think you covered it very well. Certainly we have that overlap capability. I think that's very important. And if we have that energy, we'll be able to go do a abort once around and come back and try a nominal landing.
Thank you for that question. We'll take two on the phone now. We have Chris Davenport with the Washington Post.
Hi, thanks so much for doing this. I guess this question for whoever wants to take it, but a couple of the panelists said that this mission is going to stress Orion past what it was originally designed for when it has crew on board. I wonder if you could just elaborate on that. Are you talking about the long duration of this test flight, or the fact that you'll be going some 40,000 miles beyond the moon, or is it some other challenge? Thanks.
Yeah, maybe I'll start. Certainly, I think you touched on that's one of the key things that we're stressing. 21 days, active days with 4 crew. That's one of our key design parameters. But certainly, this mission allows us to push a lot of capability. Certainly, duration, the long class mission that we're talking about, 42 days, will allow us to stress a lot of the systems and be able to check out those systems. So that would be one of the bigger drivers for the program. And the heat shield will have the same return velocity. I think you asked about the heat shield. So certainly the demonstration at 25,000 miles per hour coming back is very important, because those will be our lunar return trajectories with the crew, and that'll demonstrate our capability and really validate the models and the ground testing we've done with the heat shield, and that'll be a good demonstration of that capability in the real-time environment.
Great. Also on the phone is Kristen Fisher with CNN.
Thank you very much. This question is for Bob Cabana. It's been about half a century since NASA has had a rocket designed to take humans to the moon on the launch pad, ready to actually launch. I know it may not be, historically speaking, the right stuff for astronauts and former astronauts to talk about their feelings, but I'm curious, Bob, what it feels like to be working for NASA at this moment in history, a week before launch, with all that's gone into this.
Feels pretty outstanding, Kristen. This has been a long time coming. I think I've shared with all of you, I had the privilege of seeing an Apollo launch. I saw Apollo 13 launch as a young midshipman, and I never dreamed I'd end up being an astronaut, let alone director of the Kennedy Space Center or in the position I'm in now. And worked really hard the years I was at KSC getting ready for this, and Janet has got to take it to its completion, seeing it roll out to the pad for launch. But I have to say I'm really excited and honored to be in the position I am, to actually be part of seeing SLS, Artemis I, out there on the pad, launching us, returning us back to the moon and eventually on to Mars. I'm a product of the Apollo generation, and look what it did for us. And I cannot wait to see what comes from the Artemis generation, because I think it's going to inspire even more than Apollo did. It's going to be absolutely outstanding. I also want to throw in, the administrator and I both sat through that entire review today, and Pam was dialed in on it from Washington, and a lot of work to get to this point. So I think that's one of the things that I feel when you ask how do I feel amazing pride in the team that got us to where we are, and it was really outstanding. It was rewarding to be able to see all that work during the review today and know that we are ready to go do this.
Well said, Bob. Thank you. We'll go to some questions here in the room. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jim Siegel. I'm with NASATech.net. A question for Bob Cabana. You mentioned, Bob, the importance of testing out the heat shield. Perhaps that's the most important aspect of this flight. And I'm curious about whether during the flight, if there are any tests or checks on that heat shield before it actually goes into goes into practice during reentry? Anything going on during the test?
It's a great question, Jim. And I'm going to turn that over to Howard because Howard owns that vehicle. That is a highly instrumented heat shield. We're going to be monitoring it throughout the flight. And
actually, good questions
re-entry.
thus far.
Howard, any checks that you got planned
pretty
during
good questions
the mission
thus far.
itself?
Yeah, not specific. Obviously, the crew module and the service module are attached together, so we're not. It's unlike we're an orbiter where you going uphill and separating from the core stage. You've got potential impacts or anything like that. So there's no unique tests about it. Certainly, instrumentation wise. We have a lot of hundreds of instrumentation on the crew, on the heat shield for the crew module, and we'll be able to collect that data and of course, review that data when we get back to the crew module.
But that's before reentry, that instrumentation.
The instrumentation that already exists on the vehicle itself, and then as part of reentry, it'll be collecting the data.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, we actually have some other questions on the phone. We have David Curley with the Discovery Channel. David.
Thanks very much for taking the question. It could be Cabana-free, Seraphin, but I think Howard, the question from Davenport was stressing this vehicle beyond. We know about the heat shield. What I heard from your answer is just duration. Are there other things that you are stressing the vehicle beyond duration of the mission?
David, since it was my comment that started this, I'll say a few words and I'll turn it over to Howard and Mike. But as Howard mentioned, it was designed for 21 days, and that's what the European service module was certified for. Going 42 days puts a lot more stress on all those systems, plus the environment that it's in. Longer exposure to radiation, longer exposure to micrometeorite hits. We're going to learn a lot from this test flight, and the point is we're stressing it beyond what it was designed for, and we'll see what we learn. Anything you want to add to that, Howard?
Yeah, I think you hit really good points. From a fundamental perspective, when you stretch out the duration, the environment that you're going through on the 1.5 revs that we're going to go through on the DRO, that'll allow you to test out the systems fully as you go through that time frame of 42 days. And so that duration, along with, we're really trying to activate all the systems utilized. For example, optical nav. We're pushing the optical nav technology and be able to certify that for future flights when we don't have comm on the spacecraft potentially, and utilizing that as a navigation asset. So those are things that we're looking forward to in terms of demonstrating capability and pushing the envelope of the technologies that we have on board the spacecraft.
Closed loop
we'll
optical navigation.
On the phone. Ramin Stiva with Wired Magazine. Ramin, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. I just wanted to ask a question. I think this might be for John Honeycutt or Mike Seraphin. I'm wondering, could you say a little more, under what scenario, would you abort? Are there certain things you're watching out for where it could, end the mission a little earlier, basically?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I'll
Mike.
take a crack at that one, Chris, and then you can add anything you want. So on Artemis I, we have a lean forward strategy to get our high priority objective, which is to demonstrate the heat shield at lunar reentry conditions. We are going to press to the point of translunar injection unless we're sure that we're going to lose the vehicle. So we've got a lean forward strategy here on this flight. We would be go on this flight for conditions that we would normally be no-go for on a crewed flight in the interest of crew safety. But because we want to buy down risk across the manifest and to understand this system and the system design and its margins, we are going to press through the point of translunar injection if at all possible. In terms of aborts, the vehicle is largely automated from the point of booster ignition all the way up through translunar injection, and we've got go-no-go criteria that have been established at various points along the way, including the translunar injection maneuver, and then we have a couple of gates prior to the translunar injection maneuver as well as prior to the perigee raise maneuver, and we could punch off the interim cryo propulsion stage while it's in a inhibited attitude control system phase. Those bars are set pretty high. We would only do that if, again, we were pretty sure we would lose the work. So that is something that is unique to this uncrewed flight test, and we're going to press ahead and press uphill unless we're sure we're going to lose it. I don't know, Chris, if you have anything to add on that.
No, I'd just say that we're preparing to fly a nominal mission, right? And if for some reason the rocket's not performing as planned, there's options based on what's happening and when it happens, right? So that's what Mike was referring to.
We'll go back to the room here, and then we have several on the phone again.
Thanks. Stephen Clark from Spaceflight Now. I think my question's for probably Mike Serafin. Listened to your webinar last week about launch windows and the trajectory for Artemis I. One thing I'm still not clear on is you talked about the variable azimuth during the 2-hour window. Is that trajectory calculated on the fly basically by the SLS guidance system, or is it calculated like minute by minute or certain intervals on the ground and then uploaded into the computer? Just how does that work as you navigate to get to that target for TLA?
The short answer is yes, the SLS calculates that based on the time of liftoff, trying to hit the insertion altitude, which is a 975 by 16 nautical mile insertion altitude, and then the upper stage, the interim cryo propulsion stage, adjusts to account for the differences in the point of translunar injection. So you got to remember the Earth is rotating on its axis, and as we wait throughout the 2-hour window, the launch site is going to be in a different position with respect to the point of translunar injection in the moon. So we're accounting for that through onboard guidance calculations, and the variable azimuth is really trying to set up what we call the antipode, or the point opposite relative to the moon, to set up that intercept point. And when you've got this three-body dynamic, you got the Earth rotating on its axis, the moon going about the Earth, and the spacecraft launching over up to a 2-hour window, you've got to take that into account.
He's talking about
Okay,
RAAN
like to go on
steering,
the
right angle
phones.
ascending
Who's
node
next
steering.
on the phone?
Guys,
We have
I'll talk to you guys more about that in a little bit.
We have Jeff Faust with Space News.
Good evening. Question for Mike Serafin. You mentioned you had some open work left to do, and I just wanted to see if you could provide any more details on that open work, and if that is work that you would normally expect to be open at this point in launch preparations, or if it's something that is not expected but you still expect to close in time for launch next week. Thanks.
Some of the work is very straightforward, very simple, like what Charlie outlined, to load the boosters with their fuel and to get the vehicle configured. Probably the biggest one that was talked at our flight readiness review today was the hydrogen kickstart to thermally condition the engines. If you recall, coming out of the last wet dress rehearsal, that was the one open item that we had, and that is the one open item that we have headed into this launch countdown. And Charlie and her team have come up with a plan to demonstrate it before we get into terminal count, and that is something that we're going to demonstrate end-to-end for the first time on day of launch. And if we do not successfully demonstrate that, we are not going to launch that day. And I don't know, Charlie, if you have anything to add on the hydrogen kickstart.
No, I think you covered the hydrogen kickstart. We did, what we'll do is we'll plan to put that in after we get core stage LH2 or liquid hydrogen into replenish. And we'll close the vent valve on the core stage. That puts some pressure on it. We'll go and verify. First off, we'll verify the functionality of that 4-inch QD where we had the issue during wet dress rehearsal, verify that that's working correctly. Once we have a predetermined amount of kickstart bleed, it's about 45 minutes or so, and then we'll get into a vented bleed, and then after that we'll do the special pre-press test. Normally that would happen in terminal count. We would have done it in wet dress, but we weren't able to do that because of the issue that we had, and so we've added that into the launch countdown at a kind of a quiescent point, if you will, so that we can understand that prior to getting into terminal count, where you have a lot of other dynamics in your system. And then with regard to other open work, I would just say from a pad flow perspective, we are really down to those 2 tests we talked about. We'll get into those tomorrow. One is we'll go through and we'll do our safe and arm rotations. We have already completed, Howard talked about the late stow work that we did this weekend, the Orion hatch closure, And so that's behind us. So now really we're just looking at that RF testing, the safe and arm rotations, the booster servicing, and then getting into our launch countdown preps and then into launch countdown proper. But all of that work is very, very well choreographed, laid out, and again, very consistent schedules with what we had going into wet dress.
Thank you, Charlie and Mike. Also on the phone, we have Micah Maidenberg with Wall Street Journal.
Hi there. Maybe this one goes to Bob Cabana or Jim Free. Could you describe kind of the minimum milestones that NASA needs to reach with Artemis I, to keep pressing on toward Artemis II? Like, how does the agency know, that it's ready to really focus in on Artemis II after this launch? Thanks.
The data will tell you
Thanks.
that.
I'm going to turn that over to Jim. He's in charge.
Thanks, Bob. I think you've heard on some of the other calls about the objectives that we're working, the heat shield, the stressing the system, the delivery and performance of SLS and recovery of the vehicle are all critical things we need to do before we can talk about going to Artemis II. If we don't get all of those, we'll have a discussion about the risk that remains before we would put crew onto Artemis II. The other thing I want to stress is we're going to learn a lot on this mission. You've heard about risk here, you've heard about aborts, you've heard about flying longer. We're going to learn a lot about how this vehicle works. And there's going to be things we have to do to the Artemis II capsule, service module, SLS, that will have to be done before we go on to Artemis II. So while I think someone said it in the FRR today, we want to make sure we understand that before we just run for Artemis II. So we have to take both into account. We need to keep on track for Artemis II, but we need to understand what we learn on this mission. That's why it's a test flight. But our focus are those basic objectives.
Tariq Malik with Space.com is on the phone. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, and thank you so much. That's Hardknowledge at Space.com. I think my question is for Charlie. Blackwell Thompson, the launch day itself. Charlie, we've had a few wet dress run-throughs, but not down to that T-9, T-0 that was thought at that time. And I'm wondering what is left unknown that you're looking for that might be stopping points or things of concern that you just don't know how the booster is going to work yet to make that decision for.
Can you predict the future
there.
for me,
I'm
please?
just curious about kind of what the process would be to kind of go through that launch or call a hold for the window if it's needed. Thank you.
So let's see. I think your question was about different hold points and maybe things that we didn't get as part of wet dress. And so the biggest thing we didn't get during wet dress was the verification of that bleed in the 4-inch QD. So we're certainly looking forward to testing that out. We believe that we have taken all of the actions to correct that problem, but of course we can only test it at ambient conditions in the vehicle assembly building. And so when we hit it with cryos at the pad during that bleed kickstart is when we'll know that we've got that problem fully behind us. So I would say that's one area. We already talked about the pre-press test. And then, of course, during wet dress, we got down to T-minus 29 seconds. And so, we're looking forward to getting those last 29 seconds off the countdown clock. And there's a lot of dynamics that happen as you get down close to engine start. So, there's certainly still things that you don't get. Even had we gotten down to the 9.34 seconds that we planned for wet dress, there would still be some functions as part of either the ground launch sequencer or part of the software and the vehicle configuration that we would not have gotten, but from wet dress to launch.
And we'll stay on the phones with Marcia Smith with SpacePolicyOnline.com.
Thanks so much. I think this question is for Chris. I'm wondering if you could just explain or describe the disposal of the core stage. I understand it's going to come down somewhere between Hawaii and San Diego. Is that right? How actually do you dispose of the core stage? Do you tumble it the way you did with the external tank and it disintegrates into pieces, or does it all come down to one piece?
You don't need to tumble it when it's coming back from 1,000 nautical miles.
It will break up at altitude and come down over an area. So there's there's different footprints based on the exact time of launch, right, and when we go up. So you're talking about like what we used to do with the external tank with the tumble valve and all. We don't have that feature. The vehicle will break up on its own as it comes back in.
Okay, we'll take two more on the phone. We have Robert Perlman with.
Guys, this one's going a fair bit higher than the external tank. You don't need to tumble it to make sure it burns up. It's just going to burn up. There's going to be no pieces left.
Have additional confidence that SLS and Orion are ready to fly, given that some of its propulsion elements have already been used on multiple shuttle missions, as opposed to if they had been new designs or never flown before?
I missed the beginning of the question, sorry.
I'll start from SLS, Howard, and then hand it over to you. Relative to, we reuse engines, right? We're reusing engines here from shuttle, but the engines, for example, have new controller systems on them. So the engines we have on Artemis I, each have gone through a full-scale, full duration static test as a single engine. After that, on Artemis I, on this very vehicle, it went through the full-scale green run for a full mission. So obviously this one's been rung out pretty good, right, with space shuttle experience and ground test. When we get to Artemis V, we'll be bringing on engines that do not have the flight experience. We will get that data through ground test. And we'll test each engine individually with the controller that it'll fly with. So that's how I would answer the SLS. Now on the booster side, the components, obviously it's just the case segments that are reused in some of the structure. When that hardware is expended, we will have new hardware. Each of those pieces of hardware goes through an acceptance test and a pressure test individually. So they will also get wrung out prior to casting. So that's the answer for the launch vehicle side, and you may want to touch on Orion.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. If you don't know, our reuse of the OMS E, or the Shuttle Orbital Maneuvering System engine, is our main engine. It's our only engine that is actually from the shuttle program. The rest of the engines are Plus X or auxiliary engines, and then our RCS engines on the service module are brand new, and as well as our RCS system on the crew module. So we've done not only replacement of the soft goods that comes with the OMS E engine that we got from the orbiter program, or the shuttle program, and we've done a lot of extensive testing. We've recertified them, and we tested as a system together in our qualification at White Sands Test Facility. So all those tests have demonstrated that capability. And of course, that's why we're going to exercise. One of the things we're going to do very early after our TLI burn is we're going to exercise the OMS engine. And it's not necessary for a correction maneuver, but we're going to exercise that main engine to make sure that things are operating as we can. So this is a demonstration, like Jim and Bob were saying earlier. We're demonstrating a lot of capabilities that we're going to need long term. And this is one of these things that we're going to be flying for a little while in the next few missions of other orbiter engines. And so this will be a very good characterization of the performance and our ability to utilize that main engine.
Yeah, Robert, probably the only thing I would add is while we have tested each of these subsystems, whether they're the boosters, the RS-25 engines, the Orion main engine, and the auxiliary engines, on the ground, it is the first time we're going to operate these together as one integrated vehicle. We could learn some things, as Jim said. We are going to learn about the vehicle as a whole. Some of it could be as simple as where we have software limits or software triggers. Maybe we were a little too conservative, or maybe we had a little less margin than we anticipated, and we will definitely learn from this test flight. But a lot of the work has already been done in terms of workmanship checks and quality checks, as well as ground testing.
One more on the phone, and then we'll come back into the room for some follow-up questions here. We have Christopher from Astronomy Magazine.
Yes, hi. Chris Kokinos from Astronomy Magazine. Thank you, and good luck, everybody, for next week. My question is, I think probably for Mike. Jake Bleacher was talking about the CubeSats last week, and some of them can be recharged. some can't. So I'm just curious, the ones that cannot be recharged on the ground or can be recharged somehow in space, are they going to make it past these first 3 launch windows through early September? If they don't, are they just a loss? And is that something to address in the future to have only CubeSats that have some charging capacity on the ground? Thank you.
Yeah, Christopher, that's a good question. Yes, we have 10 CubeSats on this flight. We talked at the flight readiness review today. 5 of those have been essentially topped off in terms of battery state of charge. We've had open communications with each of the CubeSat customers as to access and just design constraints all the way up through the install on the vehicle. Prior to that, we had the payload safety review process, and we are at the point where we're getting ready to fly. The remainder of those CubeSats, we, based on analysis, believe have sufficient charge to conduct a mission. Some may actually need to recharge after they're deployed, after they gain some solar power through their solar arrays, but we believe each of these has a mission. That said, the CubeSats are relatively low cost. They have relatively low levels of redundancy and a relatively high failure rate. So we do anticipate 1 or more of these CubeSats to not be successful in its mission, just due to the nature of the CubeSats themselves.
Irene, in the room.
Irene Klotz with Aviation Week. I have 2 questions. Bob, in your opening comments, you mentioned about a possible early return of Orion. Is there any, and I don't know if this is for you or Howard or someone else, but is there any scenario where Orion could return early, but you'd still be able to fulfill the reentry heating conditions that you're looking for? And the other question just is about the pushing Orion. You mentioned the TLI burn and how you'll be accepting some conditions for uncrewed Orion versus crewed. Could you please provide maybe 2 specific examples of where you'd go for TLI burn on an uncrewed Orion versus crewed? Thanks.
So I'm going to turn it to Howard for the details, but there are cases where we would not do the full mission in that distant retrograde orbit. We would still circle the moon and get the heat shield data on reentry, and it depends on, the health of all the systems on the vehicle. But Howard, you want to answer that and the other question also?
I think what you're, Bob's pushing on is if we can commit to TLI, and I think that's what Mike was talking about where we're leaning forward is if we can press the TLI, that'll give us a lot of capability to have alternate missions where we could get that lunar reentry speeds. And I'll turn to Mike to talk about a couple things that he would push for in terms of moving forward on TLI.
Yeah, Irene, that's a great question. We've put considerable planning and effort into what we call alternate missions, and we're going to go as high as we're able to within the consumables and the systems that we have. If we have a performance problem on the rocket, we're going to fly as far as we can, and there are cases where we can try to make some of that up with either the intercrawl propulsion stage, the upper stage, if there's a core stage performance issue. And then there are other cases where we may be able to complete the translunar injection maneuver using the Orion spacecraft and its service module. So from an integrated performance standpoint, there are scenarios where we'll fly as high as we can. If we are uncomfortable for whatever reason, performance or systems-wise, with entering the distant retrograde orbit, we have alternate missions that would allow us to downmode to a lunar flyby. At translunar injection, we are not targeting a free return trajectory, but we could adjust to downmode to a free return trajectory about the moon. And then if we didn't have enough performance to do a lunar flyby, we could do a very high elliptical orbit and go out as far as we could towards the moon and come home. Or we could do a high Earth orbit, or we could do a low Earth orbit. So depending on the performance margin available and depending on the systems problem, we could fly as high as we could, and that's part of our alternate mission strategy. In terms of pushing Orion, one of the cases that we've talked about is a failed solar array deploy. If you look at our timeline, we normally separate from the core stage, we deploy the solar arrays, we do the perigee raise maneuver, and then the translunar injection maneuver. If we had a failed solar array deploy, we would proceed. And that is something that we wouldn't necessarily do on a crewed flight. There are a number of other systems that we've agreed to proceed forward with, and we could be zero fault tolerant. We could be on the last remaining string of our guidance and nav system, on our propulsion system, on a whole host of other systems, and we would proceed through TLI.
And the point I wanted to make, Irene, was that this is a test flight. It is the first flight of a new vehicle. It is not without risk. And there are things that wouldn't necessarily go exactly right. Hopefully it's going to all go perfectly. But Mike and his team have done an absolutely outstanding job looking at all the things that could possibly go wrong and looking for contingency plans that still get us the maximum amount of data. So.
Phil, you have a question?
I do, but he was in.
Oh, Stephen.
You
Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. First of all, we talked about risk. Can you share the loss of mission probability calculation for Artemis I? And then I have one more as well.
Loss of mission. The number is rattling around in my head, but I don't want to be quoted saying the wrong number, so I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. We could get you that after the fact. I don't know if anybody else has it.
Okay, another question was, I think we had this discussion during the WDR campaign about the launch countdown audio, and at that point you had said that the audio from the countdown would be reviewed for export control and be approved for release to a certain point. I think you've approved that, it seems like, starting at L-15 minutes, and I'm curious, was that review completed, and is that when the export control people basically told you that's when we can share the audio? And then secondly, and related, have you sought an export control license or an exception or exemption from the State Department for any video or audio associated with this countdown?
I'll start with your last question. We haven't sought a license. We have folks who are export control reps that we rely on to understand the regulations that we have and do the right thing. So let me say that up front. Now, having said that, it's been a fascinating process trying to make sure that we share as much as we can. Our Office of International and Intergovernmental Affairs is the one, or Interagency Relations is the one who really owns the export control side of it. So we've been working with them to get more of the count aired. We're trying to air everything through terminal count with someone sitting there to make sure to keep us in check. But we've pushed it that far. Catherine Hamilton continues to try and push to air more. So we are making progress, and hopefully you'll see that improvement for 1, and we'll continue to push for 2. We've done that by working back through the tapes that we have of all the loops. So once you get past Charlie's launch director loop, right, we start really talking some details. And what we don't want to do is, that's what the team is used to right now. If you think of the NTD kind of loop, right, we're working a lot of details on that loop, and we don't want the team to start holding back talking things on that loop. So that's why we're trying to keep it at Charlie's loop. But for 2, we're going to look at what can we do to share even more. And I think there's folks in the audience that can tell you that that I work with, that there's probably nobody pushing it more than me. So it's a work in progress. I think you'll see an improvement for launch.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, this is for Charlie. Could I back up to your, I'm trying to understand when I should be paying attention for Daryl, since we might not have the loop, to tell me that the kickstart, the valve works. I mean, you've added a test to confirm it, but where does that occur in the countdown in either your L- or T- time, just so people know what's going on?
Yep. Well, we will start the kickstart right after we get core stage to replenish, and I'll get you an exact time for that. It's roughly a couple of hours before we get to T0. We will go through the kickstart. Again, that's about 45 minutes or so, and then we have the vented bleed that's going to take some more time. Now, when we get through all of that testing for that special pre-press test, that'll be prior to the T-minus 10-minute hold, when we get through that whole test that we intend to put in there.
Right. So replenish is where you start exercising it.
That is correct.
But wouldn't that have always been the case? In other words, I'm trying to understand how you learn in advance that it's tight. Is it that same point, or is there a special test?
It is that same point where we would do the kickstart bleed. The difference in the pre-press test, or the addition of the pre-press test, is after we get through the kickstart and then the vented bleed, then we'll go through and do a special pre-press test like we would do in terminal count, where we're actually pressurizing the tank. So that's the difference. That the team will take some time to analyze that data, and we'll get that back just prior to the T-minus 10-minute hold.
Okay, and the last one here in the room.
Jim Siegel again. I think this is for Mike. Maybe I missed it, but are any of the flybys going to be looking at the locations that were identified the other day?
I assume you're referring to the Artemis III landing site options that were released. Those are all within 6 degrees of the lunar south pole, and we will be largely in the Earth-Moon plane, so largely an equatorial flyby. So we will not have a direct look at the 13 sites. That said, we do have a considerable amount of data from one of the science missions, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, to help inform that. So we have, again, considerable information about the landing sites that were released. We just won't get a direct look during this flight, just due to the nature of the mission profile and the trajectory that we're flying.
All right, thank you so much. That's going to wrap up today's briefing. Thank you to all the questions that were asked and all the answers. We really appreciate your time, especially those here on the dais who've been here all day for the FRR. To continue following the mission when we're not doing briefings like this one, we're going to pull up a website and some social media channels that you can follow. You can see them right there on the bottom of your screen now. Again, launch of this uncrewed flight test is targeted for Monday, August 29th. That's less than a week from now. The 2-hour launch window opens at 8:33 a.m. Eastern Time, and our live coverage here on NASA TV and on our streaming channels will begin at 6:30 a.m. We hope to see you then. Good night.
All right, everybody. What do you think? What do you think? You guys have any questions? I mean, it kind of sucks about the cryo timings, but what can you do? Needs more cowbell. The cowbell's packed up, man. Erper, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
Wait, what?
Nothing. Nothing.
Discovery. No one throttle up.
Nothing. People like the woman that is the launch director for this mission. They're fond.
Booba.
Those are your words, not mine.
Those are the internet's memes, not mine.
See that? That's why I like her. She's all right. When do they realize that no one's using cryo ICBMs anymore? You know, I thought about that, Hellfish, right? I thought about it, dude, and I don't think it's about ICBM stuff. But I have a theory, but I don't want to say anything in case it's right, you know? So, because, like, it's ITAR related, so maybe we'll talk about that some other time. Just remember this. Remember this. All I'm going to say, SLS news, ITAR cryogenic timings, okay? Just remember this. I have a theory on it, and I will tell you what that theory is. And I know it's kind of easy for me to say, you know, say this and be vague about it. But if my theory is right, it should be, yeah, no one's going to be expecting that. No, tell me. No. Nope. I actually am not going to say anything. So this isn't like, oh, you're just being a riddle. No. If my theory is correct, I'll tell you guys. I've had some pretty crazy theories about SLS with like scalability and whatnot. So just, I'll tell you when the time is, I'll tell you my theory when the time is right. At least that's what I think is going on, but I don't know for sure. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. It seems like a couple months back, I had heard or read somewhere that they were going to give up on Mars and shift to Europa. I just dreamed that. Yeah, that's not happening. SLS has engine out capability, Aiden. That's why there's 4 shuttle engines on it, or RS-25s. Did they have anything like Little Joe for Orion? Yes, they did, Sparks. The Orion AA-2 mission. Really funny mission, actually. Really weird-looking mission, if you don't mind me saying. What I got out of that conference was just how many ways they thought to get the data that they need. Yeah, I mean, guys, this just really goes to show you how hardcore NASA really gets with this stuff. You know, we don't hear that. We could go months without hearing anything about SLS. It's because they got people in the background crunching all these numbers all the time. All the time. Like, all the time. This is what they do. They're nerds. What do you want? From what I understand, Artemis I would be the start of lunar exploration and ignite the spirit of exploration, or would be the biggest fireworks Eastern Seaboard has ever seen. Yeah, okay. Hey, Cajun, 43-month resub. Thank you. Yeah, Caveman, there you go. How'd you know? Side note, I decided you should light up that grill. Light up the grills. Oh, it'd really tie the room together. Yeah. Think hardcore in every single detail. No surprises. They want to try and mitigate the surprises as much as possible. That's really, really, really important. We want live streaming of all work on the program. Yeah. You mentioned you explained something during chat, but I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, right angle of ascending node steering, RAN steering, RAN steering. So there's a launch window, and if you think about it, the moon. This is the very orbital mechanics is way more complicated than this. Okay, the very simple way of saying it is that if you think about it, at the start of the launch window and the end of the launch window, the moon is going to be in 2 different places. It's 2 different places. Okay? Earth's going to be spinning. It's going to be spinning. The launch site's going to be a different spot. The moon's going to be in a different spot. The trajectory can completely change over those 2 hours. SLS, apparently, from what Mike Seraphin was saying, has RAN steering, which means that the computers on board know the launch window, and they will adjust the trajectory accordingly for when they give the command for auto sequence start. Basically, the computer is saying, okay, we're 10 minutes into the launch window. I got to launch that way. Okay, we're 20 minutes into the launch window. All right, it's not that way. It's a little bit this way now. Okay, we're 30 minutes into the launch window. I got to launch over there now. Okay, 40 minutes into the launch window. I got to launch over there. 45 minutes there, 50 minutes there. It's basically just saying, okay, if we lock into this launch window, if we lock into T0 at this time, I got to go that way. And it's pre-programmed. Yeah, it's called RAN steering. It's really, 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 really cool stuff. Yeah, it's not the only rocket that does that. Falcon 9 can do that. Atlas V does that. Yeah, that's pretty run-of-the-mill stuff, guys. But at the end of the day, it really depends on where you're going. The launch window for this is quite short because the moon has to be in the right place. You don't want to launch and miss. Yeah, that's kind of important. Lockheed makes the capsule, Hellfish, with the brains, so I don't think that's going to work. But if it has RAN steering from something Starliner derived, man, I mean, I think we learned our lesson on that one, yeah. Falcon 9 can't do that? Yeah, of course, it can't do that, and you're going to go post some random link that you saw on a forum about how you know it can't do that, but you'd be wrong, but it's okay. Hey, Geek, what's going on? Hope the moving process is going okay. Ismic, yeah, we're pretty much all moved in, guys. What I'm waiting on is my office is taking a little bit longer than I thought. I am ready to go. The stream setup is in boxes. It's ready. But yeah, it turns out doing framing carpentry, insulating, wiring, which I can't do. Like, I'm not a licensed electrician. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, that all takes time. It all takes time, and the contractors that I have helping me out with this stuff, A, can only help me on the weekends, and B, they're doing it pro bono, so they're doing it for, I pay them in beer. So, yeah, it's just taking a little bit of time. We're pretty much already moved in. Yeah. Yeah, so Brimo, actually, if you saw me, like, during the press conference, like, doing this and talking to people, Brimo's actually finishing the painting for me.
Go at throttle up.
Yeah. Van, what's up, man?
No, you're going to have to finish, because this doesn't look great, but I made an attempt.
Brimo put a first coat on the last wall. Brimo put a first coat on the last wall. Gotta love side work. Too bad I don't live closer. Dave, yeah, the electrician showed me everything, dude. I know exactly what it's doing. I have, actually, give me 1 second. But SLS questions before that.
Exactly, one less coat to do.
Yep, that's right. So this is the wire that I used. I have a little bit left over.
I'm going to shower and take a nap.
Okay, Bree. Thank you for your help.
Of course.
Discovery.
Yeah, this is.
But there's only one paintbrush, and I don't think I did a good job.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, this is the wire that we used. It's not conduited because it's in wood framing, but it is insulated stapled on the studs, where it can be. If not, it's just going right through the stud. I used a inch hole saw to make the holes for the wire, which is probably too much, but whatever. Yeah. I don't mean to make people reiterate stuff, but how are we looking for SLS launch? There is, no, it's fine. I want to talk about SLS. I don't want to talk about the office. I've been in that office all day already. Not for the good reasons. I'm not streaming, I'm finishing it. Did you get the leading light reading I sent you on Discord? I got it. Haven't read it. Been too busy. So SLS is looking pretty dang good. They're going to have to check to make sure that they don't have the hydrogen leak problems that they had during the wet dress rehearsal, but they are incorporating that into the countdown sequence for Artemis I. So they'll know very early on in launch operations whether the leak is going to happen or not. It is incorporated into the launch countdown, which is good. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. Metroid, 58 months resub. AJ was busy with life. How have you been in the past couple of weeks? I've been moving, dude. Yeah. If you notice, this is not my regular setup. There's a grill behind me from a truck because I'm in my garage. See? Yeah. And Freb is right next to me. The reason why I have this crappy little temporary setup, which is a laptop and a television into it with terrible audio, is because the finished office that's attached to this garage in the back, it was not finished. It was unfurnished, so I had to furnish it. I had to put framing in, insulation, wiring. Yeah, a lot of work. Chevy grill. Yeah, sure. Did they ever explain the details of why it leaked? The bolts became untorqued. The bolts untorqued. Yeah. There was some kind of resonant thing going on with the tail surface mass carrier umbilical plate, Hellfish, and that caused the bolts to back out just a little bit, just a smidgen enough to where it caused a hydrogen leak. We're not talking like a quarter turn here. We're talking like maybe like a degree of rotation at best. Yeah, just backed them out just enough. Bunched up the bolt and you got a hydrogen leak. They're gonna test to make sure in the launch sequence or in the countdown sequence that doesn't happen this time around. Are you going with a green screen? I'm going to go with a green screen for now, Cajun, yeah. Did you put carpet in? No. I don't want to put the carpet in while I'm still painting Bandit. Yeah. That almost sounds like expansion and contraction did it. Well, you should torque the bolts to take into account for that, don't you think? SLS, you know what the funny story is? SLS actually contracts when they fill it up with fuel. It actually gets smaller. Just by a little bit. Just by a teeny little bit. But it actually does contract. And the vehicle kind of bends around a little bit Think about it. When you're cold, you do this. You Same idea. I saw somewhere that China sent their tracking ship out. Is that for them, or they could be going, I don't know, maybe. They're probably not helping. They probably want to know. What do we do? Nothing. Are you going to do it in style and get shag carpeting, though? No, I picked out the most corporate of the corporate carpets I could find, dude. Trust me, I did it on purpose because it's funny. I have vinyl carpet with an insulator underneath it that's peel and stick, so it's just like a 2x2 square or 0.6 by 0.6 meter square. To basically something I can roll a chair around on. Yeah, that's it. Yep. It makes me want to file TPS reports, but it was inexpensive because it's corporate carpet, and it doesn't look completely like trash. So I went with it. I'll show you guys. It's over there in boxes. Over tightening happens more than under tight. Yeah, I mean, if you stretch the bolt too much, it's just gonna break. Especially when it's going through the thermals. Like I said, that you're gonna stretch that bolt, and then it's gonna get cold, and it's gonna try to contract, and you can fatigue metal that way. Or the bolt can just back out, which is basically what happened. So we should blame the crawler people for the bolt. You want to blame the crawler people for a bolt that's on the core stage tail service mass carrier umbilical plate? That's like saying, "Oh, the motor blew. Let's blame the tires." No, Cajun, no. W, what's your last, buddy? There's a sounding rocket launch soon. Oh, cool. Speed Demon. Oh, neat. Will you be covering the SLS rollback? Frickin' A, man. Frickin' A. Yep. Frickin' A. Scrote. That you said frickin' A, right? Frickin' A, man. Will you be covering the SLS rollback? Yeah. Jokes. Okay. Arc, here we go. I think they're going to launch it. And I think it's going to go on the first try. There, I said it. I'll stick by it. And I would tell you, well, we'll know when I'm wrong. We'll know by Monday at 8:33 if I'm incorrect. Okay? 2 rockets at the same time, man. Yep. Will it go lunar? If everything goes right, Erper, yeah. Guys, look, there's not... I don't want to say this out loud because I believe in bad launch juju. That's absolutely a thing. Once you get past T-0, there ain't much stopping this thing. From there, it's, yeah, it's just getting to that point. Like, there's been plenty of wind tunnel aerodynamic qualification testing, structural load testing. Remember that core stage that they crushed like a Coke can? Like, the engineering is pointing towards what if you get to T-0, it's going. It's going, and it ain't coming back unless it gets out to the moon. But NASA did say that they could opt for an abort to orbit low orbit trajectory, ATO high orbit trajectory, ATO suborbital high eccentric. They could do a bunch of things depending on what happens. They've really kind of crunched the numbers on all the different what's called failure modes. You know, what constitutes going to a low Earth orbit insertion or a high Earth orbit insertion or going to the moon or going to TLI. That's not really a failure mode. That's just the mission. If you had to make a guess on what does scrub, what do you think? Bad sensor. If anything's going to scrub, it's going to be a sensor reading. Idiot in a boat. That's a possibility. You know, EJ, we have mechanical engineers out there that never had a wrench in their hand. Yeah, farm. Yeah, I know. That's. You know what, dude? That's part of the reason why I wrench on cars. I know this stuff theoretically, dude, but there's knowing how a car engine works, and then there's working on a car engine. You know, those are 2 different things, right? This garage is kind of a way for me to get more hands-on experience and make more money doing that. Hopefully it's enjoyable. I don't know. Or you can just watch me drop transmissions on my foot. That's funny too, right? No, I think a bad sensor will trip it, if anything, Jocko. The shuttle was notorious for that. I have a theoretical degree. I have a theoretical degree in physics. Do we know if they're planning on launching the first second of the window? 8:33 is opening of the window, yes. Yes, that is funny. I mean, I know. You don't need to tell me. I was there. But yeah, farm, yeah, I'm jealous. I need a shop like yours, dude. I still can't believe I found this freaking thing. Look at this, man. I got a freaking hanger. Look at this. Look at this freaking hanger. Like, the truck looks tiny in it. It's unreal. Man, I'm going to work. We're going to do some nuts stuff in here, dude. I've decided. I want to work on cars like how I play Kerbal, where we can build insane things. That's what I'm doing. That's what we're going to do in here. Provided my pocketbook can... Who has a pocketbook? Who calls it that? Provided my wallet can handle it with mortgage payments and whatnot. But yeah, that's the idea. This is High Bay 1, guys. That's what we call it here. It's High Bay 1, okay? My grandmother, yeah, it's a checkbook to the old timers, but yeah. Fred better be finished by Halloween. Oh, we're going through that thing back to front, man. Don't you worry. No, Ben, this is my office. Part of the reason why I'm pushing to make my office right there in the back of this garage is so I have to come in here every day because I blocked the back door. The back door is blocked off. I took it out. There's no door there anymore. There used to be a back door and a front door. The back door was not to code. Let's put it that way. It was an indoor door, like the door to a bedroom going outdoors. So yeah, we nixed that real quick. There's one door. Aside from the garage door, there's one human-sized door. And that makes it so I have to come in here every day. And during my commute, I look at my car every day. So stuff gets done. Fred will stare me in the face every day and say, why haven't you finished working on me yet? My brain can't handle that type of guilt. Trust me on that one. Backdoorant. Yep. I see an MTV sitting in it next year. Yeah, I'm sure we're sitting on a fair piece of property, so yeah. That implies there will be more than one high bay. No, it depends on how successful I am. Oh, farm, believe me, between the 97, the 59, and the 69, Coronet, the F-250, and the F-100, oh, well... we can do content with that. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, pretty much, caveman. Don't forget the other 97. Yeah. This is so you can claim gas mileage on your taxes. Last time I checked, that is a perfectly okay thing to do. Yep. Real fake doors. So, yeah, I got to come in here and I got to look at my projects every day. And this is not becoming storage. We have a big enough house that if we want to store junk, it goes into the basement. You know what I mean? Have you seen Christine? Yes. But now you're living in your office. How will you drive anywhere? Oh, God. Wait, you have a basement too? Yeah. An attic? Yeah. Hey kid, you saw Top Gun 2. It was freaking awesome. It's one of the best movies ever made, dude. The plot sucks. The plot's terrible. Who cares? You know what? I like the plot for what it's worth, but, comparatively to other movies, it's pretty bad, but I don't care. It's Top Gun, and I love it, and it made me really happy at the end of the movie. A hot tub? Don't have that. Don't have a deck, no. Maybe in the future. I know you guys would love to see that. Love to see you breaking out of the city. Rural is good. I like it, farm. Yeah. Dude, I'm not even that far out of the city, man. But yeah, no. I can tell, dude, you want to know what's messed up? I can tell just by how people drive around here comparatively in the city that, yeah, totally different ballgame, dude. I like it. It's nice. Hot tubs are a pain to wire for a remodel. Dave, I was thinking we do a hot tub stream and put it in the hot tub streaming category, but it's just me fixing a hot tub. Like hooking up a hot tub and getting it to work. And then once we do get it working, it'd just be the hot tub going, and that's it. 24/7 hot tub. I'd buy that for $1. Yeah, Aiden. Top Gun Maverick is a cinematographic masterpiece. It is a masterclass in cinematography. That movie will be studied in film schools for a long time. Yep. With RGB lighting. Yep. Is the concrete thick enough for a car lift? Yeah. Yeah, of course it is. Dude, it's a galvanized steel building. Of course it's thick enough. That's galvanized steel. The guy didn't screw around. He spared no expense with this, man. This is not a regular garage, dude. Still haven't watched it. It's still in theaters. Pythos, you'll like it. You'll like it, dude. You'll like it. Hot tub. Make a truck hot tub. Best of both worlds. I'm pretty sure that's called a redneck swimming pool. Yeah. Spared no expense. Yep. So anyway, any more questions about SLS, guys? They're looking pretty good. The only thing they got to check out is really that hydrogen leak stuff, but everything seems to be good. There was a lot of cool stuff being said there. The test flight was CGI, Monza. The Dark Star doesn't exist. Bum. The Dark Star doesn't exist. Will Orion come in at the same angle as Apollo, or can she come in a little steeper? The trajectory is similar, goalie. They're going to skip off the atmosphere to bleed off kinetic energy. Yeah. Capsule has a lot of kinetic energy when it hits atmospheric interface, and they skip off the atmosphere. Yeah, that skip gets rid of the lunar velocity, and then when they hit the atmosphere the second time, it's more like coming back from low Earth orbit. Yeah. The Dark Star isn't real, Mon. It can't hurt you. Could have hung that huge model rocket from a couple years ago from the ceiling. Yeah, if I had gotten it. Cricket? Is there a cricket in here? Or is that my fridge? I can't tell. SLS model rocket when? Yes, sure. Shut up! Hey. Why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side. How CubeSat's going to work? It's going to spit them out of the Orion staging adapter, dude. Yep. What's the current status of the office? Paint is like 90% of the way there. I got to put one more coat on the fourth wall, Spoon. But yeah, we're pretty close. Check Discord. If you guys want to see the progress updates, just go into Discord, my Discord general. That's where I'm giving the updates. Yeah. Hey, Mad, what's going on? Nice to see you. Yeah, you're coming in from Austin. Cool. I legit thought those crickets were coming from outside my house. Yep. A glue trap with cornstarch will work great to hunt the noisy crickets. As long as they're not in my office, Gabe, I don't really care. I saw one. I saw one walking around on the floor. There's bugs in here, dude, but it's a garage. Like, what do you want? I'm trying. I would like to get it to like payload clean room, but when you open up the door, right? When you open up the door, bugs are going to come in. That's just kind of how this works.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Yeah, thanks, Element. Thanks. Love you too, buddy. Hey, Matt Harry Jag, 913 sub. Did he have a cane and a top hat? I don't know, maybe. Top Gun inspired you to go to flight school. My first flight was as a Cessna 150 with a cracked dashboard. Nice. Nice. That's cool, man. Yeah. Bros like that, bugs and other things are the norm. Oh, yeah, David. Don't bother me. But I thought we were the fourth wall. No, you're a cantaloupe. Nice AC unit in the office. That's my HVAC for the time being, 2020, until I can come up with a better solution, i.e. I ran out of money. Mini split. Everybody says that, yeah. Jim Free tweet. Okay, what's Jim saying? As we're ready to fly, it's important to stress that Artemis I is a test flight. We've engineered... Here, I'll put this on the main screen. Main screen, turn on. As we are ready to fly, it's important to stress Artemis I is a flight test. We've engineered with rigor, but even the best models and tests aren't foolproof. As part of our review today, we discussed managing expectations, recognizing that things may not go to plan. However, our team is agile, and they are prepared for what space may throw at them as we push our vehicle to its limits. Reviews like the one we had today are meant to bring about critical discussions and provide checks and balances to our process. This mission has risk. Spaceflight, much like life, requires us to be bold, to take certain risks. We are willing to take these risks because we have worked to understand them, mitigated them as far as we can, and as a result, accepted them. However, it's only through taking calculated risks that we will get to the moon. Proud of our team's work to get us to today, for the risks they've worked to understand, and for always leaning forward. We're ready. Ooh. 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 All right. Okay. All right. Okay. There are also wall mount units for some rooms. Some only need 20 out of 220 to run. Okay. Okay, Dave, yeah. What can you tell us about the CubeSats? I don't know what the individual missions are, Cajun. I have to look into it. Yeah, it's a good episode, 2020, yeah. I mean, Jim's right. He's right. That's... Guys, look. For a lot of you, this will be the first NASA all-up NASA mission that you've ever seen. For a lot of spaceflight fans out there, you guys have only... Yep, okay, just text me. Okay. Some of you guys have never seen a shuttle launch in person or at all. Spaceflight is very, very much changed in the past 10 years, right?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
And you know, the flip side of that is that some people that watch the stream were around during the Gemini and Mercury missions, right? Like, this is a big deal. It's a big mission. Blue, 7 years. Yeah. You know, it's so for the people that weren't around for shuttle launches, and you know, I wasn't around for the Apollo missions, but I'd like to think that, you know, for someone that hasn't been there, I know good and well the damn risk involved. I've read a lot about those things. A lot. But I guess the point that I'm trying to say is, like, look, this is hard. This isn't just going to low Earth orbit, you know? I know that there's people out there with expectations for this mission, and their expectations are based off of watching Falcon 9 launch like Starlink satellites. Well, don't get me wrong. Anybody that can get anything into low Earth orbit, let alone thousands of little tiny satellites, which is cool. And the astronomers just went, no, it's not. I know. That's hard. That's hard to do in its own right. But I've always said about spaceflight, the further you're going to go, the difficulty scales exponentially. Okay? You want to get a human to low Earth orbit? Say that's like 100% factor of difficulty, right? You want to go to medium Earth orbit? That's like 125. That's like Inspiration 4. That's really, really difficult stuff to do. You want to go to high Earth orbit? You're elevating the risk. Now it's 150%, right? And then you're going to the moon, it's like 350%. It scales exponentially the bigger the rocket you make and the further you go. So a lot of you guys, I know there's folks out there that have expectations for this, and the expectations are based off of the space flight that you followed thus far. Look, I think that this SLS will go on the first try. That's probably wrong, but, you know, whatever. I'll stand by it. But with SLS, this is a different criteria, man. You're doing a completely different thing. See last, please. Sorry, it's off topic. No, not right now. Give me a second. Can you pan to the garage, please? Sorry. No. Space flight right now. I've talked enough about the garage. So 2020, I lost my train of thought, man. Why you got to do this? Why? Now I'm not showing the garage. Now you don't get to see it. This is your fault. It's amazing to hear NASA say TLI. Okay, I'm back. So people have expectations for this mission. There's going to be scrubs. Stuff is going to go wrong. Nothing is going to go exactly right. It never does. It never does, especially when you start doing missions like this. Okay? But what NASA lacks in kind of like, you know, urgency of taking their time, like urgency in how they take their time, how they don't go as fast as SpaceX, they make up for with being able to adapt really, really, really easily. And a lot of people are going to see that. You're going to see it. We got a taste of it before during the OFT-1 flight in December of 2019. Not a lot of people know that NASA flight controllers took control of that Starliner capsule manually and got it into an abort to orbit trajectory, saving the capsule. This is what I'm talking about, dudes. Let's take OFT-1. I'll use that as an example. The capsule's timer was not synced up correctly with Atlas V, so it thought it was in space when it was on the launch pad. So when it actually released the thing up in space, it thought it was next to the ISS, so it started firing its thrusters like crazy to correct. NASA assessed the problem. Cricket. They assessed the problem, they figured out what was wrong, figured out a solution, and executed that solution in a matter of 5 minutes. Less than that. Saved the capsule and got it back intact. From a suborbital basically trajectory where it would have landed near Diego Garcia somewhere. That was NASA flight controllers. These flight controllers, this is the kind of stuff, the Apollo 13 stuff. That's what NASA's good at. They're very good at that. And that's not to undermine all the technicians and all the engineers that have worked on SLS. But, you know, Jim says you got to manage expectations. What he means is that this isn't like SpaceX. It's a little bit different. This is a lot more complicated than anything that SpaceX has ever tried ever. Like, maybe save like Starship. But even the first Starship flight isn't going to the moon. All right? This is a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's a different flavor than what you're used to with like Falcon 9 launching, or Falcon Heavy, or Delta IV Heavy, or Atlas V. This is a completely different ballgame. This is big leagues. Beyond low Earth orbit, human exploration. That's what we've been going after, and you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it on Monday, and I hope I say manage your expectations, but I hope people. I hope people watch that and they realize why I've been saying that SLS needs to exist for the longest time, even with Starship doing what it should, like what SpaceX thinks it's going to do. You need something like this, and what I mean by manage my expectations is that, like, it's not going to be like SpaceX, but you're going to see why. You're going to see why something like this is needed. It's going to be pretty damn special. So I hope you guys enjoy it. There's a formula on cricket chirps per minute, a weather prediction. Rain. It's going to rain. The 405th out of Diego Garcia, the Covenant wiped them out before they hit the ground. Halo references, nice. So, get ready, dudes. It's going to be awesome. All right. I need to get back to painting my office. It needs one more coat. Where are the people crying now? Starship would beat SLS to orbit. I'm wondering where all the people that said SLS will never launch are at, Bandit. Where are those people at? Yeah, they got pretty quiet real quick, huh? Don't sniff the paint. Why not? All right. So, fellas, I hope you enjoyed the flight readiness review. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be here tomorrow. I know that's kind of become the broken record that I said. The office isn't finished. I will not sleep until it's done. All right? Like, I'm probably going to get a little bit of sleep tonight, but I really want this thing up by Thursday or Friday. I can't work on Saturday. I have a family arrangement, which I'm just really happy that that's not on Monday. Yeah. So I'm really, really going to try for Thursday. And if that means losing sleep tomorrow night, so be it. 2020, are you still here? To give that back wall back the paint. Permission granted. 2020, you want to see the garage again now? Now is the time. Now is the time. Here. It's a clean room, man. It's big. It's a biggin'. Can I divorce my sister? Speaking of family. The farm, that's... You're a big boy. You figure it out. Hey, NX, can't wait to see what you create in there. Yep. Is the garage heated? No, but it's pretty good at retaining heat. Yeah, it won't take much to get this place all nice and heated up. Yeah, my computers will keep that room clean, like not clean. It'll keep it warm. I'm pretty damn sure. Hot, hot, hot. Okay. Hi, Mank. Are you expecting high viewership on Monday? Yeah, Aiden. Yeah, I am, but I don't really care. If I get 5 viewers or 500 or 5,000, yeah, I'm just going to be happy to see it fly. It's gonna make me happy. What's your ideal room temperature? Oh, Force, I like sleeping in a freezer. I like working in a freezer, which is funny because I don't like cold weather. I like cold weather for the temperature, but I don't like cold weather because it ruins the cars. Usually. You'd love Alaska. We had a tent like that on the last job. It collapsed under the snow. Yeah, PY, I'm closer to the ocean, dude, so we don't get, knock on wood. We don't get much snow down here. I'm a lot closer to the ocean than I was. So, yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, Force, I'll definitely try to tune in at least for some of the coverage. Thanks, Rev. I appreciate it, man. I know you're gonna be. It's gonna be a pretty stressful day until that thing's up in space. I know. Yeah, Pythos, they don't salt the roads in the Cape, down the Cape either. On Cape Cod, they don't salt the roads because there's no potable water out here. So they don't want to put salt down on the roads and screw up the drinking water. Screw up the wells. Yeah. I mean, amongst other things. That and it doesn't snow much. So yeah, they don't salt the roads down here. I won't be doing anything, but I'll definitely be there. Yep. Yeah, Spoon. I'm out of the salt belt, which is funny because going out of the salt belt means that I'm near a big salty ocean, but I'm far enough inland to where the salty air doesn't get here, which is good. Which is good. Are you going to go to the launch? Niroku, no. I'm not going to this one. I'll go to the next one. And I'm bombing. But that means I can be here and cover it with you guys. Which is good. That in the Cape is going to be an absolute nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare. Yeah. The traffic will be worse than here. Buzzards Bay-ish? I'm out near the bridges. Odin, yeah. Yeah, I'm out. I moved far away from Boston, dude. I'm out near the bridges. Really wish you could be here, but yeah, the traffic will be bad. I mean, if I was there, Rev, I'd be literally Sunday morning, maybe Saturday morning. I'd be going and finding a spot because you ain't getting near the Cape on Monday. Rev, I'll be down. Yeah, it's just the way this panned out with getting my office finished and everything and moving, and I have family events to go to. Yeah, it's just how it panned out. But you know what I'm going to try to do? Once this all stabilizes out and the income kind of stabilizes out, if, I provide the content that I want to provide and, we get a best case scenario, yeah, dude, I'll drive down for more launches. Sure, why not? Yes, I said drive. Yeah, because how cool would it be to be like, oh, we have an engine. The engine serial number 1, we're going to make it all the way down and back and then take the engine out and put another engine in. Yeah, this engine made it to Florida on this truck, like how cool would that be? Build an engine for a car and then drive it down. Drive, so you renting a vehicle. Goalie, how did you get me renting a car from I'm building a vehicle and driving it down? Oh, it's a joke because the car won't make it. Oh, all right, here, right there. How's that? Do you understand that, you freaking prick? Yeah, yep. You know what, goalie? It might break. And then I'll just take it back to my big freaking garage that's bigger than yours, and I'll fix it. And then here's the even better part. If I stream fixing it, I make money off of it. Do you make money off fixing your crap? Oh, wait, your crap doesn't run. You want to play this game? You want to play this game? Play this game. You almost had me? You never had me. You never had your car. Oh! But he does have hair. You don't know that for sure, Pop. Goalie could have a comb over for all you know. Also, don't get old. Yeah. Also that. Sucks, man. This freaking sucks. How about a train ride down? You do like trains. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take the train down there when I feel like wasting like a week. When I could either A, fly and get there in 2.5 hours, or drive and make it in 20. My feels. Need another high and tight. I'm probably, once the setup is all set up, guys, I'm probably getting rid of all this. It's just it's too much to handle. It's such a pain in the butt. Train tickets are pretty cheap, at least. Have you ever bought train tickets, or? Could hop on a Greyhound. On a Greyhound. A Greyhound. Okay. What am I going to do if I take a Greyhound down there? Please, enlighten me on this itinerary. Is there a bus station near the Cape? And even if there was, how are you going to get to the Cape? So, can I just ride the bus to the VAB? That's not how that works. Walk? Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm sure you have local friends. Oh, I absolutely do, yeah. A gun rack? What am I going to do with a gun rack? A gun rack? A gun rack. Shee-ha, hooray. I don't even own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire rack. Urfa, that's so funny. That's one of my favorite scenes from that movie, dude. You know why? Because when I first watched Wayne's World when I was like 10. Shut up! I first watched Wayne's World when I was like 10, and I didn't get it. I was like, okay, that's weird. Having been through a couple of relationships, I watched Wayne's World again. That is like 1,000 times funnier when you think about it. After you've been through like a breakup, it's pretty damn funny, actually. That was never my favorite scene growing up. Now it is, though. Yeah. Cities is getting a new DLC focusing on walkability. Yeah. It's gonna be sweet. Hang out with the gray-haired gang? Yeah, Scrot, I'll get on a bus with them. It'll take a bus to Las Vegas where they'll play a lot of slots. Alright, yeah. Give me 1 second, dudes. Okay. Anyway. Alright. The cricket's telling me that it might be time to go. Anybody have any other questions about, Dude, is that inside or outside? Because if that's outside, that is one really loud cricket. I'm going to go check. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
No, definitely in. Where are you? Shut up! You're making me look stupid! Panda jerk! Hang on. Dude, can you be quiet? Oh, all right, I get it. You want to be on stream. Shut up. Jeez.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hayes with a 71 month. Blue Flare with a 30 month. Don't talk to you like that. You're not a bug, Brimo. Jesus. I literally said shut up, and he stopped for a second, and I said that's good, and then it started again. Did you guys see that? Is that a Pepsi? No, it's not. Well, at least the cricket is a step up from the skunk. You know what? I'll take the cricket over the skunk, man. Absolutely. Why did Chevy make radiators a nightmare to remove? Because it's Chevy. Because it's Chevy, dude. Hell yeah. Nice. Pepsi or Coke? Coke. Oh my God, not Bud Light. You'd turn down free beer as a housewarming gift? Okay, sure. Need to hear your thoughts on the new EV charger. Any electric vehicle that's made to sound like a gas vehicle should be shunned. No exceptions. No exceptions. I don't care how cool it is. I don't care how cool it looks. Just make a damn EV. It doesn't need to sound like a car. It doesn't need to sound like an internal combustion engine. Henry Ford didn't make the friggin' Model T sound like a horse, okay? Okay? Just make an EV. I don't need it to make vroom vroom noises. That's weird, okay? That's bizarre. Hawks, the new Dodge Charger has, first of all, okay, I will say it looks awesome. It looks great. It looks like a 68 Charger, which is really friggin' cool. It looks like a 68 Charger and Tron kind of had a love child. With that being said, they have mufflers on the back. There's mufflers on the back. And they don't go to anything. They go to a speaker. There's a speaker attached to a pipe attached to a muffler.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Dude, I can't. Fuck. Just, ugh. Look at it. It's making me go bald.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Yeah, they tried, Dave. They tried to pitch it as some crazy cool thing. They're like, oh, scattertronic systems. I'm like, so you got a speaker. You got a speaker that goes into a damn pipe, into a muffler. That's lovely. Give me 1 second. Teslas can fart. I think that's cooler than a car that makes faux internal combustion engine noises. Goalie, I saw it and I'm like, can we just like buy that shell without the electric part and put like a Hemi in it or something? There was an EV version of the Model T. Ford was going that direction until the electric starter was invented. Ironic. Make it play Peter Griffin noises. No, you know what noise it needs to make? Hang on 1 second. Let me mute sound. Give me 1 second. This is the noise it needs to make. Ready? I'd prefer that over fake car noises. What? It's just that's the sound a French ambulance makes. Sorry, Ellen. I'd rather it make that noise, dude. I'd rather it make that noise. Come on. Why does it make vroom vroom noise? How about mouth? Yeah, make that. I'd take that. You know, that'd be pretty sweet, dude. Just need a 95 sound effect for that car. That scream from that one video of the engine exploding. But cargo vroom. Dude, Novus, did you watch the... Did you see the release of the new Charger? The Dodge guy came up there and he was like,
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Oh, it's so ridiculously cringe. I don't even know what to say. He was like, they don't want you to have an EV that's cool. They want you to eat bugs. He didn't say that, but that was the heavy implication there. I'm like, okay. This is the car. You're a car company, sir. Yeah, they're like, they don't want you to have an EV like this. They don't want you to have an EV. They want your EV to have no power. Well, the Dodge one has all the power because they don't want you to have it, but you're going to have it. Like, it's like, okay. All right. All right. Oh. He was like, they don't want you to. And yeah, I'm sitting there, I was like, who's they? Who are you talking about? What does this even mean? You make cars. What are you talking about? Oh my god, dude. Oh. Is this live on Twitch right now? Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a very nice collection, my friend. Yeah, I like that one at the top. Also like the one on the bottom. Yeah, very nice. Very tasty. Very tasty. Very tasty. Did I miss the FRR? Is someone the FRR went good? Long story short, they need to run the test with the cryogenic bolts on the tail surface mass carrier umbilical. They need to mess with the bolts on there, and so they're going to incorporate the test to verify that system all works into the launch countdown. But other than that, everything's looking good, man. A Flintstone mobile. Yes, the floor fell out. Yeah, passing. That sounds like a BL car. BL car? It's BL car, isn't it? Are we talking about the Dodge Electric presentation? Yes. Yeah, someone. Yeah, it was. It's kind of cringe. It's kind of cringe. I'm like, dude, can you just like make cars or something? Do you think Artemis I slips? I've been following the weather since I got my ticket to see, and I'm getting antsy. It might. Remember, it's not just launch conditions with a mission like this. Big Fun Pants. It's not just the launch conditions, dude. It's it's the recovery conditions. Different days will have different duration of mission for the Orion capsule out at the moon. It's gonna be yeah. A shiny Brimo has appeared. Can you watch this, pretty please? Is this Relativity's video? Guys, I gotta finish painting. I gotta finish painting my damn office. Also, clean your Bowden tubes on your printers regularly. They don't want you power to get the filament on the hot end. Oh, yeah. All right, here. You guys wanted to see Relativity? All right, fine. Headphone users, you might want to, you know. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, that's pretty neat. So, like, Big Fun Pants, the thing is that, you know, like, launch conditions for SLS could be good. For recovery conditions ain't good. They ain't doing it. Keep in mind, the recovery is going to be like a month down the road, but they want to make it's when I say recovery conditions, I mean recovering in the right spot. That's kind of important. So, like, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, the weather could take it. It's possible. But, like, the other thing, dude, is what I always tell people is that if you're going to go down for a launch, I mean, yeah, you're going to go down for a launch, the best way to do it is to get there and then get there a day before the launch. But go down there for a week, just in case. Just in case. Like, a lot of people take vacation to Florida. That's what I'm talking about. If you're going to take vacation and you're going to go down to Florida, what you got to do is basically plan your vacation so the launch is on, like, the first day. The first, like, true day you're there, not counting, like, a travel day. And then I can't believe they're going to do a full flight static fire on that pad. Yeah, they're abusing the trash out of that pad, Rev, huh? Wait, want to what? Crank up the volume? Hell yeah. So that's the way to do it. You got to schedule it so the launch is on the first day. So if it scrubs, if it's a 24-hour scrub, just come back. Just come back the next day. Best case scenario, it goes off, and then you have an entire week that you can screw around in Florida. And honestly, you know, people say whatever the hell they want about Florida. I like Florida. I went to college there. It's freaking sweet. So much stuff to do that I really never got to do because I was in school all the time. No matter. Disney's there. That's kind of cool. If you're not into that, there's racetracks. Those are sweet. And then that whole space flight thing that we're kind of fond of here. You really want to visit Texas someday for a launch? Texas is a good time. Universal's better than Disney. It really depends, Ark. If I'm going to, like, okay, here's the real thing. If your whole family's coming down, right? If your whole family's freaking coming down and, you know, you want, like, something that, you know, you want, like, an all-encompassing thing, you go to Disney. But if you're just down there with your buddies and you want something to do, then you go to Universal. It's different. Yeah, unless you have kids, right? Disney is the family thing, okay? And Mickey wants your money. There's that. You go to Universal with your buddies. And take it from me, guys. I lived in Central Florida for a pretty good time, pretty good while. That's what you do. You go to Universal with your buddies. You were at a shuttle launch at Scrub a long time ago. We had the huge turkey legs at KSC. Nice. I tell you, Ben, I used to be able to watch shuttle launches off of my back porch. There's a road that goes to Kennedy Space Center that goes out to the Cape from Orlando. It's called State Road 528. And 528 kind of comes in more on the south side of KSC. And the pads are on, like, good ways north of that, if you know the area, right? My apartment was the same distance north off 528 that the pads were off 528. So I could literally look due east and watch a shuttle fly up into space. I remember, me and my buddies sat out on my porch drinking beers and watching that thing fly. Have you done Halloween Horror Nights at Universal? It's so fun being trashed at that. No, I haven't, but it sounds fun. Yeah, it was soured on Universal. Every ride was shut down but Earthquake the day I went. And at the time, Nick Studios was a thing. Nothing was filming that day. Nick Studios, man. Blast from the past. I think it's like Blue Man Group now. They use the sound stages. But yeah. Okay, fellas. I gotta get back to painting. I'm taking tomorrow. If I finish painting tonight, I'm putting the carpet in tomorrow. Once again, go on Discord, ! Discord, if you want to see the updates to the office. I'm gonna try to get it done by the end of this week. If I can get the carpet in, you know, and everything painted, yeah, that's, then it's just the ceiling from there, and I'll be honest, guys, like, I could do it. I could stream. I could get the setup working without the drop ceiling. Drop ceiling doesn't necessarily need to be in there. It's just the acoustics might suck more than they do right now. But plus or shag. What is it? The 70s? Go and paint it like one of your French walls or something. Show them the walls. I want to see how it dried. Okay, alright. I gotta roll the damn thing all the way over there. Alright. Let's, get offshore power here. Fellas, just bear with me here with the microphone. Turn me down for a second because I gotta put the microphone here and it might be a little bit loud. I'm gonna try to be as gentle with that as I can. There we go. Alright, now this is going to go over here, And let me pull out the HDMI cable, take us off shore power. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's turn ourselves around here. And we're going for a ride. So, let me move some stuff out of the way. And we'll go from here. I should probably change the title. Bree, can you change the title of the stream, please, or something? You know what? I'll be quick. Doesn't matter. Those chairs might get in the way. Hold on. This right here. Okay. Okay, let's go. All right, so here's the 59. There it is. There's Freb. Freb is here, just chilling. This side of the garage has basically been a work site. I have all my building materials here, and we've been working on this in here. Of course, I got stuck on a 2x4. Why wouldn't I? All right, so okay, so what you haven't seen, this was not like this last time. There was a door here, but the door ended right here. And since we added the framing, right, the door would open to maybe like here. It would open to like 45 degrees. So me and my contractor were like, nah, screw that. So I hit this with an angle grinder. I cut this all out. I bent this up for a nice flange right here. And I'm going to put a nice door in here with framing. We're gonna make it nice. So, okay. So yeah, that's what we do. But if we go in here, come on now. I'm stuck on something. All right. So this is what your boy has been up to. And this is most likely what the acoustics will be in here if I don't put the drop ceiling in. So it's not the best, but it's still, yeah, that's weird. There is a little bit of a reverb, but it's not as bad as it seems. But yeah, this is my white room here. Yeah, it's a little tinny because there is just insulation and the metal roof here. I got to move those lights down. That's the big one. I got to move those down to where the drop ceiling will be. Carpet will help, and the drop ceiling will help fix that as well. There's my ladder. And then this is the last wall over here. That's the fourth wall that I have to paint. Actually, you know, it ain't too bad. It could do with probably another coat real quick. Yeah, and then there's some spots down at the bottom there that I have to get. But yeah, everything is all taped off and whatnot. But it's actually not too bad. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, Bree, it needs another coat. I'm gonna do that now. Yeah, I gotta do that now. And honestly, this is the noise that we're still gonna have background noise. This is gonna be the background noise, fellas. Sorry if that's bad, but I need the air conditioner on. You support a paint stream? They're already here? A paint stream? I gotta get my painting clothes on.